Well, this is our rap, and you're listening to Country Lunch on WOOL 91.5 FM from Bellows Falls, Vermont. And we got a pretty good show for you today. We got Paleo Mountain Man back here and Budcat 7. And let's see who's on the line here.
Yo, yo, yo.
Hi, who we got on the line here today? Who's
You
it?
got me.
Hey, Budcat. Say hi.
Me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where you from?
How you doing? This is Budcat 7 from Stonewall Research, New York.
And Jim?
I'm Jim Colella, Paleo Mountain Man from Springfield, Vermont.
Okay, great. And what's up today, guys? I'm gonna just sit back and listen. You know, I told you the latest that's been happening to me after all that. I've been having paranormal experiences, so I hope you don't freak me out too much today. Go, take it away.
No, we'll try not to, Al.
Yeah, we'll try not to harm you in any way, Al.
Well, I didn't say it was harmful. I was just it's getting too exciting over here.
Too exciting's good. Weird is very good. I always told my kids, be weird. It's very good for you. It's always worked for me.
You know, I'm opening up the front door and peeking out these days rather than walking out. I wonder what's happening out there.
What's so fun about being normal? That's no fun.
No, you don't want to be normal. Please don't.
Yeah, that's boring.
Yeah.
Very boring.
We're not normal people. Not on this show.
You have to be. You have to be a little crazy to do this stuff.
Well, we can fake it and try to be normal. It doesn't work, though.
Yeah.
Every time I
Doesn't
try to
work.
be normal, I fall down or something happens really bad that
Figure you out in a second.
yeah, I come to my senses. It's not worth it. So Dave, how you doing out there? And is the weather changing? Is it springtime?
Well,
yet?
we had a beautiful day today. It's a little bit warmer, so things are starting. Some of the buds are starting to pop. We're getting some early flowers. The St. John's wort is blooming, and
Awesome.
I pay attention to all these things because I basically live in nature down here. We don't have a lot of nature down here. Oh, well, not like you guys do up there. And then, by the way, there's no stone walls or anything on Long Island either. So
A lot of
but
birds.
this was a shipping center. This was basically shipping of many ports here on Long Island to ship all the stuff that came from where you guys are at. All that timber and fur and copper and maize and everything.
Right down the
That's
Connecticut River
right on
Valley.
Long Island.
It was an important resource center.
Yep.
And the Connecticut River Valley went all the way up through Vermont, up into Canada, up into far reaches of Canada, and up
The
into
Connecticut River is over 400 miles long.
the river itself, yeah. And then the trading systems went far north, and
Goes through
there's
four
sites
states.
there's sites in Canada, in Quebec, that are similar to sites in Vermont, which are very
Absolutely.
similar to sites in Connecticut. Which I think Connecticut is going to turn out to be one of the biggest places to find any of these remains, because there's just so many good videos coming out from Connecticut, and the research you did there was amazing. And you didn't spend a whole lot of time there. You went there a couple of times, and you brought back a lot of interesting video and photographs. It takes going there several times and walking around the place and getting a sense of what's there. And I think intuitively, I think Connecticut is a big central hub, and that's where everything would have flowed before it hit Long Island and where you're saying, where it was going. But everything went down into Connecticut, and south of that, other things happened. West of that, other things happened. You got to western New York, which is very similar to Vermont, and then you start going out into Ohio and all that. All of those places.
It starts to flatten out is what it is. It starts to flatten out past, the mountains in New York. It's a better growing areas, some better farming areas over there in western New York, going out to the center.
You get different cultures too, and they're very similar, but they're different, and they're locally different. It's interesting because you can see as you stratify westward from where we are, from westward, you can see the cultures change over time. through the images they left. And the Hopewell cultures were very ancient, and they touched on the Adena and the other cultures later on, and all the mound builders. And some were so ancient that they go beyond what we reasonably think as possible because Ice Age and what we've been told about the Ice Age. It seems to me like there may be a timeline that stretches very far back into ancient times that I can't even give a timeline on. It just seems that way to me because of the images.
They know people were here. You know, they know people were here 10,000 years ago. They know people were here 12,000 years ago. So, and my recent video on Wyoming and Montana was the archaeologists there, the anthropologists there, were commenting on the people that were there before the people migrated across the Bering Strait. So you have an admission
15
really
to 30,000 years, I'd say.
Yeah, or more.
Or more, yeah. I'm only pushing it back 30,000 years, but well into the time of the Pleistocene. And during the Pleistocene, there was, I think, what we're talking about. A lot of these things happened. And we're talking before 12,000, 13,000 years. We're going 15 to 30,000, I would say. And that's when a lot of this happened. And there were a lot of things going on in North America and in Vermont and in New York and in Quebec and Connecticut and New York, and it's not there anymore. It is there, but it's not apparent unless you really look for it, and you can see it if you look for it. And we're finding a lot of
it's everywhere. It really is everywhere. You know, I mean, it's right outside your door there, Jimmy, really. But I think what it is, it's unrecognized is what it is. I mean, people just assume
you have to look for it. Yeah. Well,
everything is built.
That's why we're talking about it. So if you look, if people look at these things differently, like a simple stone wall, if you walk by it every day of your life and just in the back of your mind consider that it's a stone wall, well, that's what it is. But if you really look at it, and if it's an ancient stone wall like the ones we talk about, you'll start to see things in it that will change your mind about everything, because it changes your perception about the past, which you never realized was even there. It's a past that is so magical and so beyond what we've been told or thought about or can even imagine. The reality of it is more magical than we can even imagine. And I use the word magical because that's the only word I can use.
I use fantastic. You know that on
that's
my
a good
channel.
word.
I always tell my viewers that the past is more fantastic than you could possibly imagine.
Yes,
and
you do.
More fantastic than the Anunnaki narrative, which is the space aliens, the Nephilim narrative, which is the the angels, the fallen angels, the narrative of us, developing from monkeys or whatever the heck it is, which is nonsense and ridiculous.
Yeah, that happened.
So it's even beyond all of that. It's a past that we are so unfamiliar with, and we can only imagine. It's so fantastic, we can only imagine what it could have been like. And you were saying before, I mean, now mainstream is all on board with people being here way before the Bering Strait crossing. So that opens up the narrative to so many possibilities, whereas before it started and ended, let's say, with the Bering Strait land crossing. But now that they think that people came by boat earlier, then it changes the whole narrative. It changes the whole story and the whole picture of the past here in the Americas. If people were coming by boat earlier than the Bering Strait land crossing.
Well, that's being considered now, I think,
by the Smithsonian.
By the Smithsonian.
I go over that on my channel.
Sure, right.
I have a video on my channel about the new research from the Smithsonian. One of their problems was every time they went on an archaeological dig on the west coast of North America, every time they did a dig, they weren't finding the people, and they weren't finding the animals that were supposedly crossing the Bering Land Bridge at the times they thought. So they had to come up with another solution, and their solution was is that these people were actually coming by boat, and they weren't walking across. So that opens up a whole entirely new narrative, not only about the people arriving here in the Americas, but if people came by boat 12,000 years ago, that means that anybody could have come, anybody with a boat could have come any time between past 12,000 years ago till the present day. So that means that all the stories that people think, that the Vikings might have visited here, that the Phoenicians might have visited here, that the Celts might have visited here, that the Chinese might have visited here. You have all these theories about who might have visited here in the past. Well, if people came by boat 12,000 years ago, then any one of those people could have came at any time.
You know what I think, Dave? I think the people that were here, that we're talking about, the White Stone people, and that's the name we gave to them because we're describing these people. They're undescribed. They may have been here before all of that. I know they were here before
they definitely were.
They were here before the stories of the Anunnaki and the Nephilim. They were here before all of that. They may have had great ships, and I know they did. They have effigies, and they have a lot of effigies of whales they put in the woods, and sea creatures, things like that. They knew these things.
They were seafaring cultures.
They were.
You know?
And they were traveled, and they knew astronomy. They knew the stars intimately. They knew geometry. They knew sacred geometry, not just geometry, but sacred geometry. It goes way beyond the mathematics of today, and beyond what we can even understand. And if you put balance in nature, and you put balance in your life, things change. And that's basically what we're talking about, is through perception, changing your perception, you change your life, and it all comes down to becoming more in the nature of nature. And it's like animism. Images can change the way you think, the way you see, the way you feel. They can change your life. And if you're willing to go along with that, if you're willing to change your life, it's a great way to do it. That's the way I do it, through images, art, things like that. But you can even use language as images. Language can create images in the same place in your brain. It's a temporal part of your brain.
I think that's what their language was. It was a language of images.
Exactly.
The images were their language, and it's so curious that you're saying these things. And as we were talking about it before we got on the air, about what these people actually knew, they had advanced knowledge of astronomy. They had advanced knowledge of engineering, especially when it came to water. They had crafts and skills that seemed very far beyond what we can perceive from what they left behind. We automatically assume from these stone constructions and the things that they left behind in a way that they were very primitive people, but their knowledge of astronomy, mathematics, agriculture, all of these things sort of suggest that their knowledge and their intelligence and what they knew was a lot greater than what we can perceive from their simple way of living. So it's only more evidence that suggests to me that these people were living maybe in a more advanced civilization sometime prior to what they think is the Ice Age or whatever cataclysm happened. And then this cataclysm happened, and you found a bunch of advanced people, like, let's say, us, who survived this thing. But what could they really do? Everything else in the world, all the resources of the world closed off to them or whatever. So they did the best they could, But certainly their knowledge suggests a more advanced civilization, a more advanced culture than what we can see suggests. You see what I'm saying?
You can find more information by going to Paleo Mountain Man or Stonewall Research Budcat Seppin on YouTube.